In this tutorial, we'll be talking about quickly creating rigs for humanoid characters in Cascadeur. First of all, we'll need a model in either FBX or DAE format. This model should include a skeleton made up of joints and a mesh skin to it. I'll be using several different models to show some of the various peculiarities you may encounter. Unfortunately, in this tutorial I won't be able to highlight each and every possible situation, but I'll try my best to show the most common ones. And if you'll have any questions, you can ask them in the comments or directly contact the Cascadeur development team, for example through our official Discord channel, or you can consult the documentation on our website. So the model is loaded. Now we need to switch to the rigging mode. Click this button. A window with rigging instruments has appeared. We'll take a look at all these tools in the next tutorial. For now though, we won't be needing most of them, as our characters are humanoid. We can quickly create rigs for them using the Quick Rigging tool. After you click the Quick Rigging tool button, a window will appear with a list of your model's joints and an image of a humanoid silhouette. You'll need to drag the names of the joints to corresponding body parts on the image. However, for some widely used models, the program already has predefined rig settings. And if you are using one of these models, you'll see that all the points on the image are colored blue, and the fields at the right are filled as well. In this case, you'll only have to click Create Prototypes Rig. But if the points are gray, you'll have to set appropriate values manually. Select a joint from the list. This joint will also become highlighted in the viewport. Hold the left mouse button and drag the joint name to corresponding body part on the image. After this, the point will be colored blue, and the name of the joint will appear in the table at the right. This particular character has a lot of joints in the spine, but the rig controllers will only be created for the pelvis, the belly and the chest. So what we need to do is to pick from the list the joints that are best suited for creating these controllers. To check how the mesh would react, select the joints in the viewport and bend the character. Don't forget to press Ctrl Z to return the joints to their original positions. It would seem that the joint is not very well suited for creating a controller for the belly. Bending the next joint looks better, and we'll be using it instead. And that joint would not have been a suitable option, it's placed too high. Choose the joints depending on the features of your model. The character should look as convincing as possible when the belly and the chest are bent. For example, if you use these joints, it's obvious right away that there's virtually no bending in the middle. A character like this would be inconvenient to control, and the poses won't look very good. These joints, on the other hand, should produce a better result. Next we'll set joints for the neck and the head. If your character has joints for parts of the face, don't use them. We should select the main joint, which controls the rotation of the head as a whole. But there are also other possible cases. Your model might have less joints than there are points on the image. This cat guy has a back made up of only 2 joints and no neck at all. This is not a problem though, as you can simply assign the joints that you have and leave some of the points on the image gray. You don't have to set up every point to generate a rig, only the ones in the arms. But when not every point on the image is set up, this means the auto-posing tool won't work for this character. You'll only be able to pose your character using standard controls. For arms and legs, it's sufficient to assign the joints for one of the sides only. Fingers should be set up for the same side. This character only has 2 joint chains for the fingers, one for the thumb and another for other fingers combined. I'll simply assign the second chain to the middle finger. The fact that some of the finger chains have left unfilled won't affect physics simulations and auto-posing. Now we need to set the joints for the arm and the leg on the other side. We can simply mirror them. But first we should check how the sides of the character limbs are marked. This character has the right side marked as _R and the left as _L. We'll have to enter the mark for the side we've set joints for to the original field. The mark for the other side goes to the other field. Now we'll need to click the Create Mirror Object button. Now the points on the other side will be colored as well. The same goes for this character. This time I'll be doing the left side, so the mark for the left should go to the original field. On this model, the left side is designated with capital L underscore and the right is capital R. There are no fingers on this character. Now that all of the points are set, we can proceed to generate prototypes for the rig. In the viewport window, prototype rig elements for the characters should appear. While you are in the rigging mode, you cannot control the character with the controllers you create. To test these controllers, you'll have to switch to the animation mode. This way you can easily switch between models and update your rig at any time. Using the quick rigging tool is usually enough to get a fully working rig. We, however, will be looking at some additional nuances. You can change the side and the position for any of the box controllers. It would not affect the way the rig works, and would only serve the purpose of visual convenience. You can also adjust positions for some of the controllers. For example, the character's head would be easier to control if the direction controller would be placed somewhere around the nose. The points for this character's hands are not placed too well. Both points ended up in the same location. For the hands, it's convenient to place the points at the base of the index and the pinky finger. The rigid body should be facing the pinky. Try to place the points at the same way as for the standard models. Placing the points like this improves the work of the auto-posing tool. Now we need to apply the same kind of changes to the second arm. To do this, we'll need to mirror the arm. Select the rig elements for the second arm by double-clicking them. Delete the selected elements. Open the Mirror Group tab. Mirroring from the Quick Rigging tool won't work here, as we've manually altered the positions of the points. First, we need to set the mirroring plane. To see which exact plane would fit in our case, it can be convenient to look at the manipulator R's in the global mode. The blue arrow is the Z-axis. The green arrow is the Y-axis. We'd also need to set up the marking for the left and the right side. Now click the Create Mirror object. Some models include dedicated twist joints. These joints are used to improve the behavior of the mesh when certain body parts are rotated. Select the twist joint, turn on the Only Box Controller option and create a rig element. Then select the newly created box and the joint to which the twist joint should be linked. Open the Main Actions tab and click the Add button for the twist joint. Currently, Cascadeur can only work with twist joints that don't have the neck joints as their child. A twist joint automatically rotates a little when the joint linked to it is rotated. You can also create additional rig elements. This character, for example, has joints for controlling the jaw. The jaw doesn't need its own physical elements, rigid bodies, but we can create a box controller for it. Turn on the Only Box Controller option, then select the joint at the jaw, then click the Add Rig Element button. Finally, you can adjust sizes and masses of the rigid bodies. These rigid bodies are represented as blue ellipsoids, and they control the character's physical behavior. On the proto-union behavior, you can change the values of the mass and width rigid body parameters. When you create a rig using the Quick Rigging tool, the masses for the rigid bodies are default assigned values standard for an average human body parts. In this tutorial, we won't be examining all of the instruments for rigging. Moreover, you probably won't need them if you create your rig using the Quick Rigging tool. And for the final important note, once you've finished creating rig elements, you can export your rig as a JSON file. Later you can use this JSON to quickly import the rig. The JSON file also stores the pose to which you've applied the elements of the rig, so don't alter the character's pose before you rig them. Later, however, when you import a JSON file, you can apply it to any pose and even to an animation. To do this, disable the with T-pose option.